Hello and welcome to the Eating Disorder Therapist podcast. I'm Harriet Frew, eating disorder therapist, here to support you in overcoming disordered eating and finding peace with food. Today I'm going to talk about when you don't want to gain weight in eating disorder recovery. And I just want to say that this podcast is for people of all weights, body shapes and sizes. And if you struggle with an eating disorder or poor body image, you might be feeling dissatisfied with your body and terrified of weight change. So maybe you're listening and you're on an anorexia nervosa weight restoration journey. Perhaps you've been keeping your body below its set point with disordered eating behaviors. Maybe you are just a bit underweight, but you are still having to fight your body to keep it at that place. Possibly you're fantasizing for the body you had, following a strict wellness detox, which was not sustainable, but felt so seductive and right at the time. I think many of us have this kind of fantasy period of when we lost weight at some point. We sustained it for a bit, everything felt wonderful. It wasn't really sustainable, but it feels that it was this kind of magic time and we're always longing to get back there. Maybe as well, you've had bariatric surgery and you've lost pounds and pounds in weight, but you're now feeling dissatisfied and fearful of any minute body changes. So I think it's really understandable that weight gain brings up fear, as weight loss and thinness hold so much value in society. They shouldn't do, but they do. So when you've lost weight, you've probably been praised and validated by your friends and family, and this has probably made you feel good. You probably felt feelings of acceptance and approval. Who doesn't want to feel that? And you may have had some hugely difficult life experiences that have crucified your self-worth and self-esteem in the past. So understandably as well, I think in the society that we live in, if you are then at a lower weight, it often feels protective and safe as a barrier against an unsafe world. And maybe your inner trust muscle is weak. Maybe you don't trust yourself. Maybe you don't feel likable or worthy. So outside approval of being smaller is the way to access security and greater calm. And you really don't want to let this go. And being thinner is highly valued in society. It's toxic, but it's reality. Then you feel safe, successful, and morally superior to have the self-discipline to control your food. Chasing thinness as well can be protection from the struggles of life. Controlling food and your body appears to be a worthy goal and preoccupation that you can get really focused on. When life is overwhelming or chaotic and busy, it's the one thing that can offer safety, because then you're distracted and preoccupied by your next meal or the number on the scales. You get relief and numbing from the demands and expectations of the world, and this isn't usually a conscious process. And the descent into the disorder is often gradual and involuntary. So if you recognize yourself here, hold self-compassion, because sometimes your inner struggles are overwhelming and you're not ready yet to let go of controlling food. So just acknowledge that. Okay, and then the bonkers over-evaluation of health through wellness in our society. So societal values are definitively skewed to the detriment of our mental well-being. Look glossy, perfect and aesthetically pleasing. Do all your morning routines and acquire the desirable objects of success, and happiness will be yours. Now, even though some wellness routines are a wonderful form of self-care, we don't have to completely throw out wellness. They're not the route to nirvana, self-fulfillment, 100% great mental health. Look at any centenarian, people that live to 100, and note that they are prioritizing connection, purpose, laughter and meaning in daily life alongside a moderate diet and moving their body. It's not all about diet and exercise. Now instead, in Western culture, many of us are anxiously obsessed with wellness to the point that our nervous systems are in high alert when we stray 1% away from eating clean. And sadly, diet and wellness culture will validate your body shape, never mind the sabotage or destructive route to get there. So inwardly, you may be starving yourself, preoccupied with food, whilst others are asking you for weight loss tips. It's deeply confusing and it reinforces the belief that weight equals worth. So before you know it, your day is peppered with comparing, scrolling, weighing, mirror checking, self-berating, calorie counting and more. And if anyone could read your thoughts in a bubble above your head, heaven forbid, who would want that? Your focus is entirely down the rabbit hole of food and body preoccupation. So how to address your fear of weight gain? Firstly, loosening the grip of control. Okay, this can often feel really scary because you feel terrified of weight change. An unplanned eating episode can leave you convinced that your scale weight has immediately increased several pounds. You look in the mirror and you can see the changes. You're convinced. So when you have an eating disorder, you're often seeking a sense of control. Control of body weight or portions or macros or grams, and the control brings a temporary feeling of certainty. And you invest vast amounts of energy in planning and preparing your food in detail. But it's impossible to win and achieve your standards, and you actually feel increasingly out of control. Because the tighter you try to control, the less in control you actually feel. So interestingly, letting go of control and allowing things to happen brings greater peace. Now, thinking back to my own days of struggling with bulimia, I would precisely plan out every food morsel. Then something would knock me off track. For example, I might be offered a biscuit at work and I would wish to join in with others, but I would eat one and feel an overwhelming loss of control. And because of the extreme rules that I was holding myself to, this biscuit would feel so devastatingly wrong and I'd feel guilty, out of control. I'd then imagine my body expanding and all manner of dreadful things happening. And the backlash towards the over-control would often lead to a huge binge or blowout due to my faulty, fearful interpretation of the event. But in recovery, I noticed that food had more ease around it when I learned to loosen the control. I could allow life to happen rather than making it happen. And this felt incredibly scary to navigate as my self-trust level was on the floor. But over-control is rooted in fear. You catastrophize, fortune tell, and predict the future with incredible angst, intense fear, minimal trust. But have you considered that your fears might be unfounded? What if a biscuit makes no difference and you panic and your panic is blocking change? What if you could eat a biscuit freely and enjoy it, moving to a place of allowing? And what if you could experiment and seek out a biscuit that's truly tasty and yummy to you? What if you could trust yourself to experiment? Because many of your fears are unrealistic, catastrophic, and basically just not true. They're what ifs. So be careful of the stories you're telling yourself around your rules and control. Next thing to think about, how do you know that weight change is going to be so terrible? So control is a result of being attached to a specific outcome, an outcome that you're sure is best for you, as if you always know what's best, but maybe you don't know. How many times have you worried about something that never happened? Hands up to this one, I've done this multiple times in my life. So consider leaning into self-trust and allowing your body to be in its natural place without restriction. You don't need to micromanage the universe. And who really knows what the right path is? And the parable of the Chinese farmer is an excellent reminder of this. The Chinese farmer's horse ran away and his neighbours expressed their commiserations. The farmer said, "Maybe." The horse returned the next day bringing 7 wild horses with it. The neighbour said, "You're so lucky." And the farmer said, "Maybe." The next day his son attempted to break in one of the horses. He fell from the horse and broke his leg. The neighbours said, "Oh dear, this is dreadful." And the farmer said, "Maybe." But the following day the conscription officers came to conscript people into the army, and the farmer's son was rejected due to his broken leg. The neighbours said, "Isn't this wonderful news?" And the farmer said, "Maybe." So this parable is a wonderful illustration of how it's quite difficult to know if anything is truly good or bad. You will never fully comprehend the consequences of misfortune or predict the consequences of good fortune. So how do you know for sure that a change in your body is going to be your downfall? I know in my own recovery, as much as weight gain terrified me, it propelled me towards an infinitely better place. When I was underweight, my energy levels were on the floor and I was not present or connected. I developed an irritating yawn in my throat, which was likely the result of a slow metabolism. I was constantly starving. I remember being freezing cold on a warm August day. I felt addicted to food and on the edge of falling off a cliff at any moment into a full-blown binge. I had no energy for bigger life perspectives or a meaningful relationship or life goals. Now, my experience will differ from yours, but don't assume that you know how things will feel. Be careful to assume that being nourished and letting go of disordered eating behaviours is going to make you feel worse. You could feel infinitely better. You could manage the changes in your body if they happen with far greater ease and flow than you anticipate. And you might just need to give yourself the chance. You are imagining the ferocious bear lingering in the shadows and devouring you in one bite, when maybe the bear doesn't exist. And you probably thought that a smaller body was the answer to all your problems, but in your heart, you know that this is not the answer. Trying to control your body hasn't been the recipe for success and joyful living. Letting go of control and leaning into what works for your body could bring far greater alignment and contentment. Okay, the next thing is to embrace the energy of surrender. Now, control mode is restrictive, narrow, and rigid. You're paddling upstream on a river that's flowing downstream. Your breath will be shallow, your mind will race with thoughts, and you will feel scared. You won't be present in the now. Instead, you'll be racing on a hamster wheel with momentary life blurring into the background. But when you can surrender, you access more peace. You'll breathe more deeply. You will notice the vibrant red tulip or the peacock butterfly or the cool wind on your face. You will zoom out and hold a greater perspective of life. Micromanaging and obsessing over the details removes you from all of this. So the art of surrender. Surrender means to let go and stop fighting with yourself, to stop battling with the natural flow of life, to stop pushing against reality, but to live in the present. Surrender is acceptance of what is and trusting in life and feeling safe without your directing, controlling, manipulating. And it doesn't mean being passive to life. It's acting from a place of surrender energy. And paradoxically, letting go of control can feel sweeter and produces better results. So how to do this? Quietly notice when control is taking over and shift into surrender energy, and have an anchor to remind you of this, a piece of music, a candle, or your garden maybe. And imagine a boat floating freely downstream. Let go of the oars and allow yourself to be. Einstein said, the most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or hostile universe. Now, this can be hugely challenging when you've experienced trauma or when your relationships haven't felt safe. But start to believe in a friendly universe and notice where in life you can begin to feel safe, which environments, which relationships, which acts of self-care, which tools, and seek these out more. Being receptive and allowing things to happen is a skill that can be practiced and improved upon. You have a choice. Embrace the peaceful yet focused energy that accompanies holding the intention of your desires but not forcing it. And this energy is magic. Allow it to become a habit. Breathe and self-trust. Okay, hope you've enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you're not following me already on Instagram, do seek me out, the Eating Disorder Therapist _. And if you'd like to join my paid subscribers on Substack, where you can submit Q&As every Friday, please do that. Or you might want to sign up for free, where you get access to 2 free written articles every week. And if you enjoy this podcast, I'll be so grateful if you'd follow, rate and review, as it helps it reach so many more listeners. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to sharing another podcast episode with you very soon.